Because trust me, right, if you have every single thing right now in the world, Drew, if you have money, the cars, the houses, all of that, honestly, do you think you would be as religious as you are at this point?
I think I would be more religious.
Actually, I would argue that the West has a new religion.
Okay, what's the new religion?
The new religion is liberal ethics.
Oh God, this guy hates liberal.
What is one thing that is on the other side of each religion that you wish was on your side?
The only thing that Islam has is the fact that their scripture has been unchanged.
Amen to that, my boy.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to the most electrifying, the most amazing,
I feel bad for Akin because
the
he said that
most magnifying podcast
he said
in
that
the
like
world.
4 times now.
Trust me, this podcast is going to blow up the ratings on Spotify, on YouTube, on every single platform. Anyways, now I'm kidding. We back at it, man. Episode
Yeah,
3.
well, welcome.
3 down, 97 to go, right?
Yeah, 3 down, 97 to go.
Yes,
Let's do
sir.
it.
First of all, thank you for watching the last episode. Thank you for all the likes, all the shares, all the comments, all of that. Really appreciate you.
To everyone that watched to the end, really appreciate you, and special thumbs up to you.
Exactly. Special thumbs up to you as well. And we hope that today we will continue to make you more entertained and more enlightened on our podcast. Today we have a big one. A really, really big one. Bigger than last time. And it is along the lines of religion.
It's man said religion big one. It's explosive, bro.
It's really explosive because this is very, it could get very personal.
I
for
just
some
said it
people,
could get really aggressive. I have some boxing gloves here in case case he starts to go left.
Indeed, because I think religion is one of those things that people like, they do tend to take it personal. It's their personal.
Yeah, I mean
thing,
everyone
right?
has personal opinions, but if I'll be honest, I think most people who are religious are still very, very rational and
That's true. Understanding as well.
understanding of other people, because I think most religions also require that on some level
For
to be
sure.
understanding of others and all this stuff. But enough Japanese.
Yeah.
We have a guest that is going to
Very
help.
first guest.
Very first guest on our podcast. So I'd like to introduce my friend Halil.
Man like Halil, let's go. Big
Welcome,
man.
brother.
How you feeling, Brody? How you feeling, Brody?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Okay.
I'm glad
Two of
to
us
be
about
here.
to give him mic at the same time.
I'll take both. Yeah. Like that. But yeah, I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here. Honored to be the first guest. When you guys become number one, don't
Yeah,
forget
man.
about
No,
me, alright?
we're not gonna forget Halil. He dropped it on the 3rd episode, and someone else behind the scenes, which we'll introduce some other time. All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
For sure, let's do it. Okay. So today's topic is mostly along the lines of religion, and we have different questions we want to talk about. First of all, is religion necessary? That's one thing. And has the West gone too far with secularism? That's also another big thing. I'm here, I'm Christian, Yuri is also Christian. My boy
Yeah.
Halil is Muslim. So it was nice to get another perspective on religion as well.
Yeah,
We're going
it
to talk
would
about
be
some common
unbalanced
misconceptions, some differences between both religions, similarities, and we're going to react to some videos at the end. So make sure you stay tuned for that because those are going to be very, very interesting as well. But without more
Further
to be
ado.
said, without further ado, need I say more? We're about to start. Yuri, do you want to kick us off?
Okay,
with
so
the first question?
I'm gonna kick us off with the first thing. Is religion necessary? I'll be honest. This is a topic that people debate for. This is like a topic that ends up as a 4-hour debate for some people when they invite people to symposiums and whatnot, and they fill out stadiums for. But if I were to say it in a very concise way, I think religion is necessary without the dogmatism, but that is very, very tricky.
What?
So what I mean here is
Yeah, dogmatism. What is that word? What
dogmatism
that?
is when there is no room for nuance, where you must do exactly what is said as you're told. The reason why I think that is very hard to do now is I've gotten to a point where there are some things that are not directly addressed in our scriptures anymore. There's no mention of smartphones. It's like there's no mention of there's mention of social relationships and stuff, but there's no mention of social media, for example, and a lot of other stuff that people then have to try to use their own interpretation to see how they can adjust to this thing. Like earlier, before we started this podcast, we were talking about crypto a little bit, and it turns out meme coins or some meme coins are haram. First of all,
Yes.
do you want to talk a bit more about that, Halil? before I continue my monologue.
All right. So, first of all, I will define what haram is for people that don't know. Haram means something that's not permissible in Islam. And before the podcast, we were talking about there are some. You guys are most likely familiar with crypto, and there are some cryptos that have no utility. And in Islam, in the Islamic perspective, crypto that has no utility is haram. And basically, we're just talking about that before the podcast. And yeah,
So you're telling me like all those coins, like Doge coins and all that, it's all around, or like, or
it depends
from
because
a Muslim
Dogecoins,
perspective,
yeah, Dogecoin. In that example, Dogecoin is something that it started with no utility, but that changed. Now Dogecoin has utility. There's differences in opinion about whether it's haram or not to investing in those type of coins, but meme coins in general have no utility. Therefore, they are haram in
Considered
that
haram.
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Right. Do you have any more points to that, Yuri?
Yeah. So back to what I was saying. I definitely think that there's also a lot of nuance in itself to the question, is religion necessary? Because you also have to take into consideration the background. So a sub question of this is, does prosperity lead to less religion? I'd like you both to
Yes.
go first, and then I'll talk about that later.
Okay, I would go first because I think I want to speak from personal experience because I'm definitely from Africa and where I grew up or in the community where I grew up. Where I grew up or in the community where I grew up, right? I think it always felt like for every single thing you had to pray. Like for you to have electricity, you had to pray. For you to have water, you have to pray. For you to leave the house and go to school, you had to pray. And when I came here, where everything seemingly works, there was water, there was light, there was every single thing you can think about. I feel like when you get to that stage in life of when when you have everything, and when you don't need to depend on, let's say, for a higher power for something, then in that case, it feels like you don't really have to pray. Because trust me, right, if you have every single thing right now in the world, Drew, if you have money, the cars, the houses, all of that, honestly, do you think you would be as religious as you are at this point, or do you think that you would probably be a lot more religious? What would you say?
So actually, I think I would be more religious.
Yeah,
You know
really.
why? Because if you have everything, if you notice, there's something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Okay.
and at the top of the pyramid is self-actualization. So when there's nothing material that can change your life anymore, that there's nothing materially that you have to look forward to anymore, then people start to look more about like spiritual stuff. It's why people sell their companies, or like billionaires, they go back then they would go to India for pilgrimage, all this kind of stuff, because they're looking for something that can't really find on earth anymore. And for most people, they just, it's religion that they will turn to. I think that that would make me more religious. One more thing though is, before Halil goes,
Yes.
I actually said Halil was supposed to go first, so please go.
Now, what I'm saying is, yeah, that's a good point you mentioned that if, let's say, if you reach prosperity, you're less likely to be religious, and you can see that with the countries that we have today, like the first world countries, all of them. If you compare that to the third world countries, the level of religious or religiousness, whatever you call it, is less
Very
compared,
true.
compared to the third world country. And also, just to add to what we were saying, is that the West, right? The West started with Christianity.
I just want to say, by the way, that when we mention the West here
Yes.
on this episode, we're referring to the ideological West. So, like Western Europe, actually Central Europe too, because they're very religious there in, like, as Christians, and the U.S., Canada, I guess. That's what we mean by the West, all right?
That's what
It's a
we mean.
disclaimer.
Good disclaimer to have. You don't want to be.
Yeah.
You don't want another MMA fight over here. But all right. So what I was saying is the West started with religion. The core belief of the average, let's say, American, was Christianity.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the Western values like
Were built.
capitalism, were built on top of that.
Yeah.
But what we see now is once, the West reached a certain level of prosperity, that core value, the core belief, which was the base, which is Christianity, is eroding, is decaying. You could see that. And one of the reasons, like I said, is because of the prosperity they reached. Once they reached that prosperity, they felt the need that, okay, we don't really need this much, we don't really need a religion anymore. And religion was the thing that brought family structure, was the thing that brought, sexual morality,
I would
or
argue.
morality in general.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off a
Go
little
ahead.
bit, but I would argue that religion enforced these things. They didn't bring it. They provide structure for it and
Yes.
enforced it.
Yes, you could argue, you can make that point for sure.
Okay.
But what do you mean that, like, do you think it's a bad, the way you said it sounds like it has a negative connotation?
No,
where you
actually don't
enforced-
have a negative. Okay, I guess enforced has been used as a negative word sometimes,
Yeah,
but I didn't mean
yeah.
it from a negative perspective.
Mhm.
I just mean that religion helped to create a clear structure
Definitely.
for them and say, okay, like if you get a woman pregnant, in religious settings they'll say if you get someone pregnant, they'll say, oh, like do the right thing and
Yeah.
marry
Marry.
and create the structure. So that's something that religion encases or enforces. I don't know. I'm looking for a better word for enforce, but
Okay,
doesn't
yeah,
matter. We
I
can
know what you mean,
continue.
though. No, most definitely. And I think we are actually witness of the decay that's going on with the basis, their basis, which was Christianity, is really decaying at the moment.
Okay,
And,
okay.
And actually, I would argue that now the West has a new religion.
Okay, what's the new religion?
The new religion is liberal ethics.
Oh God, this guy hates liberal.
Hey, now I would say, hey, you could this is.
I
This
actually
is
think
a
that-
fact, isn't it?
I actually think that I don't agree with that, but
Mm-hmm.
this is something we're really going to get in onto in
Yeah.
the second half.
Okay. Actually, before you go, I do have a stat. Before you go, I do have a stat here that I wanted to show you, right?
A statistic.
Just to back up what Halil was talking about.
Okay.
In the Netherlands, just using Netherlands as an example, right? 57% of the population, age 15 and older, have no religious affirmation at all. So that's more than half of the country.
More than half of the country.
And if you compare that to Nigeria, we have 45% are Christians and 50% are Muslims.
I see.
So you could see the divide already in a country which is
And-
considered a third world country and one that is considered a developed nation.
Yeah,
at
I
some
see.
point. Yeah, indeed.
So
That's a good point.
a couple of things in there. So, for example, you've just shown that most people are religious in Nigeria just by those statistics.
Yeah.
It's like 90-something%.
Pretty much.
And I'll be honest, the Netherlands as a country is more prosperous than Nigeria is right now.
Mhm.
So, in a sense, it agrees with the point both of you are making,
Yeah.
that prosperity leads to less religion. But it's tricky. So I do agree with the fact that when I was in Nigeria as well, that I would pray for everything. I'm like, God, please, don't let a car hit me on my way to school today. Real talk. Like, you pray for everything. I remember I used to sit down in my house sometimes when I was younger. I'd be like, God, please let them bring light in 30 minutes. It's crazy because here
PS2.
you don't. Yeah, the PS2. Literally, I remember my PS2 wouldn't be loading, and then I'll close it. I'll close my. I say, God, please. I pray that this PS2 works. Or when you switch it on and you pretend you're not looking.
All been there.
See if it will load.
All been there.
Yeah.
Real, bro.
But anyways, I do acknowledge the fact that when, for example, I started living in the West, I didn't necessarily have to pray for these things anymore.
But it's little things.
Yeah, but I don't think that made me believe in the religion itself less. I think that part of what happened in the West, with us talking about how there's less religion, I think part of that has to do with the history that's sort of attached to when Christianity was the main religion in the West, which we'll get to later on. But I definitely think that prosperity can lead to less religion, but I don't think it's a because you're prosperous. Because there are some countries. Okay, Russia, for example. I'm not sure the exact statistics, but Russia is still a very religious country, despite
Yes.
the fact that they are wealthy compared to most countries, at least. So I don't think it's completely like a sentence that if you become prosperous, then automatically you become less religious.
It's not a causation relationship.
Yeah, but yeah, I think religion also has been used as a tool in less prosperous nations. So in Nigeria, for example, in my street alone, there were like 4 or 5 churches and like 3 mosques, and just the sheer amount of religious establishment in these countries, I don't know which came first. Is it because when people are struggling, when people are in bad situations, they're looking for something,
For hope.
for some
Yeah,
from hope
yeah.
to something to believe in. So it could be that some of the people are this insanely religious places like Nigeria, we say 90 something percent. It could be that it's because the situation is getting worse. It will make people more religious, rather than it being like this is historically religious country, blah blah blah. And if they become more prosperous, they will become, because if you look at the West too, it's not as if, so like US for example as a case study, it's not as if they were always insanely successful. They weren't the richest country. In the
Yes.
1800s, 1700s, the Netherlands was actually one of the richest countries in the. Actually, that was the Dutch Golden Age,
Yeah.
and the Netherlands was richer than the U.S. What they call is, Britain was more successful than the U.S. and Portuguese were more successful than the U.S. So it could be that maybe as a time where they also got that identity of being a very religious country, it was also that they were in less prosperous times, and that
You mean the
turned them,
US, like
yeah,
back
and
then?
that maybe that turned them to religion too. That's a kind of worms that I would like to close back, and let's.
Because I was just about to fire at you with something, right?
Yeah, I
Because I was
like to.
thinking that.
Actually, I might like to cut that out. I'm like, as I was saying, I'm like, what the hell is this guy dragging
Because
us
I was
into?
thinking about like, right? Because I think most of the American settlers back then mostly came from the UK, and I think the UK had a huge Catholic population or thing back then.
Yeah.
So there was a high chance that they could have all mostly been Catholic. I would say, in my
I'm
opinion.
so
I'm not
sorry,
sure.
guys. I'm so sorry, guys. They were actually Protestants. So please, I'm begging you, please cut this one. Oh my God! If you
They were
upload
they?
this, if you upload this, yeah, I'm gonna fucking cry, bro. This guy, I opened one can of worms and I begged to close it. I gave this guy the mic. He opened another can of worms. Now we have 2 cans. Anyways,
Bro, let's
anyways,
stay on
anyways.
topic though.
We're gonna try and stay on track.
Yeah, for sure. So just to quickly touch on what you mentioned earlier about Russia being a relatively rich country compared to other countries. So they have a huge Christian population of about 47%,
Yeah.
and the non-believers are about 25%.
Okay.
And very interesting that Islam is only 6.5% of the whole
I think
population.
Russia is
Population.
traditionally Orthodox. Russia is traditionally Orthodox
Exactly. They
Christian.
have out of the Christians,
I don't think I'd be
41% is
surprised.
41% is Russian Orthodox.
But I'm surprised out of the
believers.
6% Muslims, all of them are MMA fighters. Bro, if you're MMA and you see Magomedov,
Run,
please.
my boy. Run.
Yes.
But yeah, it just goes back to what I was saying. This might be just the exception of the rule, right?
Indeed.
And but before you cut me off,
Yeah.
what I was saying is about how the religion of Christianity has been replaced in the West, speaking generally, right, by liberal ethics, to where where they allow pretty much everything as long as you don't harm anybody. Meaning, they will allow anybody, they will tolerate anything or anyone as long as that individual or group of people doesn't harm them, right? But the problem with that is they will tolerate those people, let them come into their society, into their countries, but they wouldn't understand. They don't really understand the view, like the exact view of those people. They are being tolerant. They are being tolerant.
They
to,
are
you know what I
being
mean?
tolerant too.
So what that would lead is a disconnect or a clash between the people that they tolerate You know what I mean? For example, I would just give you an example. LGBTQ,
I knew this
for
was
example,
coming.
right? LGBTQ,
Yeah.
just an example, right?
LGBTQ plus.
LGBTQ plus.
Please
right?
don't forget
Yeah,
the plus.
okay,
people.
okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Those people, they have a view, right? That is completely different the view of the Muslims, let's say.
I don't
And
think they. Okay,
like,
continue.
both
what
of
you're
them
saying. Yeah.
are tolerated in the liberal society.
Yes.
But my argument is, if the Westerners knew really about the views that those people have,
Yeah.
they wouldn't allow one of them.
To
Like, they
exist.
shouldn't be in the same box.
True. So I agree that,
Yeah.
for example, considering that I understand to a reasonable, not a perfect extent, but just from what I understand,
Yeah.
Christians, for example, or Muslims, for example, and let's say the LGBTQ community, ordinarily, if things are followed without any nuance, they're not supposed to be accepting of each other at all. So I understand why you might say that in a liberal society, it's a bit tricky to have them because they are not supposed to be. They have opposing views in a sense.
Yes.
Here's what I have to say to that. First of all, I think that the LGBTQ plus thing is supposed originally was just I thought it was just about identity, like that is their sexual identity, which I don't think is supposed to on its own become a movement. But I guess it was more about they felt oppressed or something and started their own thing. Anyways,
Yes.
one of our friends did warn us that this will be a very difficult conversation. But here's what
A long one, isn't it?
I definitely think that if we're in a society where nobody wants to have difficult conversations, then things are keep just going to get worse anyways. So here's what I think that with I don't know, it's just before I start say something serious, I think it's just funny when I see like when they say LGBTQ plus for Palestinians or
See,
or for
this is one
because
of this is one of the prime example of what I was saying.
yeah, because
like
if
mixing
you
water
knew
and water.
Mixing, yeah, you cannot like if you understood really, what,
Yeah.
what each constituent of your society they believe. Like
Yeah.
if you know what their beliefs are, right?
yeah.
You would know that mixing them wouldn't cause you good. You know what I mean? Like this is not a good mix to have.
Yeah, I think it's
And-
definitely affecting the West.
It is affecting the West, right? The West. Yeah, that's a good one.
But I think it's like at this point it is getting so like diluted that the West pretty much has no choice. Like what should they do? Like should they, let's say, try to find a way to not incorporate both of them together, or I don't know, because I feel like at this point there is no turning back anymore because things might just
You are very okay. Do you want to say
Yeah.
something?
I feel like, yeah, there is a turning back. They could turn back for sure.
But
Do you know?
but when they say,
Let me land. Let me land. What are you about to say? What are you about to say? Hey, let me land. Let me land. You want to say? Let me
see,
land,
I
bro.
really thought he was about to say.
No, here's the
you know-
thing.
Yeah, go
No,
on.
wait, what do you think?
I thought what I was going to say next is what I was going to say next is he said there's a turning back. I say when they say go back to Africa.
land, bro.
Okay, go.
What I
continue.
was saying is the fact that they allowed like a lot of different people with different views
Yeah.
into their societies. If the liberal ethics like goes pretty much left, like completely, goes to whatever, like madness, right? One of those people within the society, like they will rebel, and once they rebel, what that will create is like, the Newtonian law when they say like, I think that's
For
what
every
it's about.
force, for every action, there's
Yes.
opposite and equal reaction.
So if the West goes completely left, right, meaning they do something that's completely right, like there's no morality anymore, things like that. Some people within that society would actually make sure that the West won't go to that place. And one of those people today are the conservatives. The conservatives today, they will make sure they will rebel. They will say, okay, these things, yeah, they will give pushbacks to like all the madness that's going on.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that is the reason I'm saying this is how we could go back. You said there's no turning back.
Yeah.
The turn back will be the guys or the people that would use that would be the catalyst of that turning back would be those people that rebel against the main idea
So mostly
of the liberals.
So mostly the conservatives then.
Okay.
Mostly the conservatives,
Yeah.
the Muslims. We could, if you can put in the same bracket, maybe the conservatives, and also other people that are not, that doesn't agree with the liberal agenda.
I think this guy thinks Christianity knows.
Christian,
He said the Muslims to conserve. I'm wondering.
yeah,
I'm not sure if you know, but Christianity does. It's not like Christianity agrees with people doing anything. There's also
yeah.
there's also very very strong expectation in terms of morality too as well.
No,
But
for sure.
But here's
Like I
what.
said, it started that way.
Yeah.
The West was Christian.
Yeah.
The core or the basis of their beliefs were Christianity.
Okay, fair enough. I was going to say also that because you said, I think Aki said something about how there's no turning back, and you say we're going to turn back.
No, I'm not. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
of
So
them turning back.
here's what I think. I think there's no way we can return to the past. We can only learn from the past. I
Yes.
think what can happen from this point on is that they must find a way to coexist.
Yeah.
Because, for example, there are people born in this country. Let's say we're in the Netherlands. There are people born in this country. There are third generation Moroccan, for example, and they don't still feel Dutch. So if you say to someone like that, okay, we need to take them back home, or we need to send them back to Morocco.
Yes.
But they don't even know the place like that because they weren't born there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's an ideological divide that's present in some of these countries as a result. It's true that for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. But that is something we'll get to. But I just want to say, before I say that,
Yeah.
that there must be a way to coexist, or else it will end up creating too much tension and then leading to something terrible. I don't think war can happen because I think that once humans develop nuclear weapons, it actually made us realize that there's no point.
There's no point.
Because now, think about this. If Russia and the US, for example, went to war, if any one of them is losing too much, they just blow the other place
shit up.
and kill everybody. So I think we realized like there was no point in that. But here's what I do want to go into, that you believe that liberal ethics is causing some of this that will cause conservatives to rise up, all this
Yes.
stuff.
I mean, they're already rising up.
So
Like,
Yes.
rising up, you can really check.
Do you believe, from your personal, I'm going to ask you guys personal opinions,
Yeah.
do you believe that the extreme, or what it seems like extreme, some people say it's shoving in your face, or like every other movie there's a gay scene, all this kind of stuff, that do you believe that this is what's causing a rise in conservatism? And do you think that this is justified?
Yeah.
Do you think it's overblown? So, do you think it's overblown? And do you think it's causing a reaction of people trying to turn into being more conservative right now?
in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think 100%, like especially on Netflix, the TV shows we watch, the movies, all that, I think for sure that, I mean, there's a way you can do it that you don't shove it in people's faces, right? I'm just going to be honest. Like, there's a way you can incorporate the LGBT plus community into all these things without necessarily shoving it into our faces. So in my opinion, I think it's not overblown, but I feel like it's done like to a point where it's like every single show that you watch, it's there. Every single thing that you put your eyes on,
Okay.
it's there at some point, right? And also to the question when you were asking about if this thing that is happening causes the rise of conservatism, in my opinion, I do think so, that yes as well. Because if you look at countries like France, the UK, the Netherlands to an extent, the US as well, I think 100% for sure, the reason why their voices are getting more amplified is due to the presence of the other side. In my opinion, that's what I'm observing from an outside view.
Okay, so from an inside view, I'm joking. I'm not. I cannot be an inside view because I'm not even European. Anyways, from what I see that there's an overblowing to this. If you look at the statistics, the amount of LGBT people that exist or whatever, they're not that many.
True.
They're not that many. And also, yes, it's in the media and stuff, but it's people are reacting as if every other person is gay, or every other person is lesbian, or what the other letter stands for? Trans. I think, but they're acting as
We
if
wouldn't
it's-
know, right?
So yeah, they're acting, they're acting as if everybody is like that.
Yeah.
But I think that yes, it seems as if I think what might be annoying also is that because they're not that much in the population, people are like, why have they shown so much then in the media and what this? I think it all stemmed from Oppression Olympics, where people are like, oh, like black people were like, oh, like there's racism stuff, very, very valid. There's a point where, okay, people are like, yeah, minorities have it tough in smaller countries, in Western countries. So let's say if you were here in the 80s and you were in university, actually, when I was speaking to someone from my university, he's like head of the VU entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
He said when he was at the VU, there was only one black guy in his whole set.
Whoa.
So if that guy said, oh, like, I feel oppressed, I would like to see more black people in, I get that. And I think a lot of people got that. But they kept being more like, I think it's called intersectionality, where it's like, oh, you're a black man and I feel oppressed in this society or whatever. And then they say, okay, women also feel oppressed in general. Then what about a black woman? So black woman feels more oppressed than whatever. They say, okay, what about a gay black woman? Then the gay, so that literally, that is the hierarchy of their how they view the morality, or I don't know how to put it.
But one thing before Halil goes into his point, like obviously we
I
are
might
not
need to cut
saying
this part out.
what are you saying?
Continue.
Yeah, one thing just to before Halil talks about this point, we are not trying to say that they shouldn't portray these things in media or it shouldn't be Netflix or on TV shows. No, they actually should be for sure, because I think for one thing that has helped me personally as a human being is seeing people who look like me and who have the same beliefs as me on TV. For example, I love watching the NBA because I see people who I aspire to be as someday in the future in terms of sports, in terms of athletics. I think it's nice to have lots of representation in the media as well, right? But exactly, but it should be done in a way where it's not like in your face kind of thing, in my opinion. But anyway, Alil, you can touch on your point now.
Yeah, the only thing I could add to that is you're right. Some people are doing the oppression Olympics that you just mentioned, victimization and all that. But if we go back to the main problem, we could all agree that, what this liberal thing brings is the lack of, one example of that could be the lack of, family union or family structure, the lack of
I don't
sexual
think that's
morality.
true though. Do you feel so?
Yes.
That the lack of family structure?
Yes, I feel like liberalism.
If liberalism is supposed to be about not like letting people do what they want,
Yes.
I don't think that in itself is what makes people say I don't want to have a family.
But
Or,
you can link
sorry,
it. You can easily link
not
it.
because I'm trying to see where
Yeah.
the link is.
It's easy.
Are there not liberal people that have families?
They do.
Yeah,
what I'm
so they
saying is-
do.
What I'm saying is, if you say, I can do whatever I want,
Yeah.
it does imply, I could, I don't need to build a family. It's not important to me,
True.
right? I'm looking at that angle. But what I was saying is,
The only reason I interject
Yeah.
is because I didn't want you to sound like you were saying that every liberal person was like that, because
no, I'm
can
just generalizing.
Yeah. Okay. Continue.
I was just generalizing. But what I was saying is, we have to go back I believe we have to go. This is my belief, right?
Yeah.
This is my opinion.
Yeah.
We have to go back to the core belief of religion
Okay.
of most, all of most of the of the main
the major
of the main
religions
the major religions,
in terms of morality and stuff.
because like I said, morality, in terms of morality, because like I said, Christianity brought, all those the element of, the morality, the sexual morality, brought the element of the importance of family, having
Yeah.
family around you.
What?
And if we can all agree that this is decaying. This is one of the things that is lacking today due to the rise of liberalism, right, in the West.
Okay.
And
So
this is my point.
okay, I appreciate that. I will say though that liberalism, I don't think you can say that is on the rise,
No.
because it's, I think in the universities it's been there for like like 10, 20 years now or more. But considering what you're saying on this podcast,
Yes.
what he's saying, and what we feel like we're observing, then it probably is on the decline, and people are trying to become more
Yes.
conservative again.
Yes.
Like Amsterdam is trying to get rid of its sex reputation, and Amsterdam is one of the most liberal cities in the
Yes.
world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if Amsterdam is becoming more conservative, then it's like telling you what's happening in the West in general. But I have a question here before we segue into conservatism. The three of us are from African countries originally. We grew up there. We live in the West now. By definition, we will technically be immigrants, right? Even though immigrants has been stained as a word. Like people, they say, if they're black, you're immigrants, and if you're white, you're expat. But
Facts.
at the end of the day, even the white people, anyone that moves from one country to another country is an immigrant. Can an immigrant be conservative?
Yes.
Because by definition,
Yes.
if the place they are moving to a new place, if they were being conservative,
Yeah.
they would have stuck in one place. They can have conservative values, but if they move to that country, the people they want to have the same values with cannot have the same values with them, because their idea of conservatism will be different from yours. So the idea of conservatism is to keep everything as it is and be traditional. For
Yes.
example, in the Netherlands, if they were trying to say, I'm conservative or I'm traditional, then they mean that they want the whole country, for example, to be ethnically Dutch. And by definition, no matter how much conservative values you have, you can't technically have the same conservative values as them. This is what I think, but I'd love to hear what the both of you think about if an immigrant can be conservative.
I think most immigrants that came from where we came from, let's say Africa, are already conservative.
I was just about to say
You know,
that.
they're already conservative. They have values. They really value things like family.
Yeah, I'm not arguing
They really
against that.
Yes.
I'm not arguing. I'm just wondering here that by definition, when they join the other society,
Yeah.
they can't hold that same. They can't be.
One-
No,
yeah.
I'm not saying they can't hold the values, but the way they are conservative
Yeah.
cannot be in line with the conservative Dutch people.
Okay.
So there's a conservative Dutch guy, for example, that won an election earlier, and
Yeah.
there was like a clip of him like a few years ago that said, "Oh, do you want more or less Moroccans in this country?" And they shouted less. Those people are conservative because their idea as conservative Dutch people is that every Dutch person should be white, for example. So by definition, if an immigrant moves to another country, how can he join them to exactly be on that same level? Do you get what I'm trying to say
Yes,
here?
Yes.
Continue.
Due to the fact that I don't think any country will reach that level of conservatism, if that's the word, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they will reach that point where they could only be Dutch people in this country, let's say, for example. And also, if we don't get to that point, they can definitely coexist. Do you know why? Because the immigrants, we could all agree that they are conservative, but we are living in a liberal society, which is completely different from, we are further away from the liberals than we are from the conservatives, and somehow we were able to coexist with the liberals. So it would be easier to coexist with the conservative in that sense. And this is what I mean.
In my opinion, like I think coexist is probably a huge term. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I'll probably say that we probably wouldn't coexist, but we'll be tolerated. In my opinion, that's
Yes.
because I think an African conservative person, like just like Yuri said, would have way different values than, let's say, a Dutch conservative or a German conservative
Yes.
or American conservative, where yes they do, yes the underlying things that they both agree on is probably similar, right?
Yes.
But then in the grand scheme of things, they're probably different in so many ways.
Yes.
So, for example, like us now, if we're Africans moving to, let's say, Netherlands, and we're conservative, quote unquote, yes, we'd have the same underlying things that we agree on, but for the most part, for most things, we'll probably have a disagreement. Which would actually, funny thing, which actually probably turn us more on the left side,
Yeah.
pretty
Left
much.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's just a.
Yes.
It's all very gray and black and white too. Just that talk about it, right? But in my opinion, that's how I feel.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But
But
wait,
this is-
do you still feel like you have something to add?
Yeah,
when it
now
comes to
what I
this?
was saying is, this is only if and only if we don't reach a certain level of conservatism, like I said. If we are too much, giving the example of Netherlands, for example, if they wanted to be super conservative,
Yeah.
this is where being able to coexist with us wouldn't be possible in that sense, because they've reached a certain level where they will not tolerate anything else but Dutch people or Dutch values, right?
Yeah.
And if we reach to that point, yeah, of course we won't coexist.
can't,
Like we can't. But I don't believe we can reach that point.
Yeah, I definitely.
Like I said.
for sure, 100%.
And yeah, you were right on that point. For
That's
sure.
what I said when you said we have to turn back. That's why.
Turn back.
we
When I
started
say
laughing.
yes, so when I say turn back, it's just bringing back, the values that were the fundament of the Western society at some point. The Christian values, the morality thing. That's what I said. That's when I say turn back. This is what I mean.
Okay.
I mean, we have to go back to the values that were the foundation, that was the basis, the core beliefs of every Westerners at some
Yeah.
point.
I
And
think
if we go back to that, I think we can talk about like the benefits of having that. Having those core values within your society.
But what to you are these values? What would you say are these values? Because now you mentioned
Yes.
values, but I think some people might be wondering what are these values he's talking about?
So, like I said, one example I gave is the family structure. We all seen studies of how not having a father figure in your household, the impacts it could cause, the impact it could generate within your like the way you grew up, the way the fact that you're lacking a father figure or something, like you're part of a single family home, it could lead to so much delinquency. It could lead to so much, you're off the road of goodness. Once you don't have somebody, a leader,
Yeah.
telling you this is not good, or do this and that, this is right, this is
Okay.
good.
So
Right.
yeah, it's true, and I've seen statistics on this as well.
Yes.
But,
So
yeah.
So what I was saying is, if you bring back, like this is one example, like this is the family, like having family unit around you. Yeah, I'm waffling a lot here, but if you have that, if you bring that, all the other problems that comes with lacking a father figure, for example, will come back. Will come back if you bring that back. If you bring the family unit back, all those problems will go away. This is what I believe, and this is one of the most important part of a society. right? Being able to, like, having those core values that I mentioned, that will allow you to reach what we call happiness. Because
Okay.
I could bring, for example, I lost my train of thought here, but
Yeah,
I would
but
say,
yeah. Can you remember it?
I was just trying to link it back to like Islam.
Okay.
I was trying to bring it back to
You
Islam.
said something about finally reaching happiness.
Happiness.
Yes, happiness.
Is happiness a state in Islam? Like, is there?
So yes, this is what. Yeah, exactly. So this is what I want to say. So we believe that, you know, the one thing that will bring you happiness is purpose.
Okay.
This is what we believe, like knowing your purpose in this life,
Okay.
right? And one thing about Islam is it gives you purpose. It lays out for you, like, this is what you need to do. It gives you explicitly, this is your purpose in life.
Yeah, I would.
This is your purpose in life. And
Yeah.
in our perspective,
Yeah.
the purpose of life is the purpose of living is to worship God. Is to worship God. And worship is a holistic term in Islam. Worship could mean being good to your partner. This is part of Islam. Being clean, even being clean,
I would
is actually
argue.
part of Islam.
Well, I would argue a little
Yes.
that this same message
Yes.
is what is in Christianity as well.
True. Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Bring it back to, I didn't say, for example, when I
Yeah.
said bring it back to.
No, it's just to connect it.
Yes,
connect.
true,
Okay.
true. Those are the core values of Christianity as well.
Yeah. So I will say though that amongst a lot of these things that we've discussed, it seems like we both, or the three of us, do recognize that it seems like in the West, conservatism is rising again,
Yes.
and with that, do you think that people are becoming more religious as a byproduct, or people are trying to become more conservative without being more religious?
Now, don't quote me on this, right? But just based on what I have observed from the things I see from the videos I watched, I would definitely say that yes, people are becoming more conservative, but from what I've seen, I don't think they're necessarily becoming more religious.
Yeah,
In my opinion, because I think they're becoming a lot more conservative because of the responses they're getting from the other side. So they're just trying to push back. Just like you said, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So what they're mostly trying to do is to fight off that, heat they're getting from the other side. In my opinion, that's what I've observed. It might not be true. It could be that, let's say, there are some people who are becoming more religious, more
Yeah.
Islamic, or more Christian because of this, but it could be the other way around as well. Do you think that they're becoming more religious in your opinion, or from what you've observed?
I think people have become more religious because it seems as if on not just, I don't think traditional media even does this anymore, but on social media, it seems like you can see so much depravity that makes you think like, oh my God, there has to be more to life than this. Maybe we've gone wrong. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
we've gone too
Too
far.
far.
Yeah.
And it's why people like Andrew Tate, people like a lot of figures are rising up and attaching to religion, and you see that they are also gaining a lot of followers just from saying things that already exist in the holy scriptures already.
Yeah.
They say, okay. I remember when Jordan Peterson came out and said, "Oh, go and clean your room." It's like, bro, this stuff is in the Bible. It's probably in the Quran already. It's just that I guess people were looking for someone to tell them, or a figure to look up to that tells them to go in that direction.
Indeed, but
Okay.
yeah, but do you really think that they're really becoming more religious though? Because I feel like most of the things that people like Andrew Tate and the Petersons and all these people say are mostly things that are just like common sense. Like, yes, of course you can tie religion to it, but in my opinion, I feel like most of the things they just blurt out or the things they say are mostly things that that to us are just common things that people wouldn't really get or people wouldn't really understand.
That's for sure. But yeah, just to add to that, to the question, are people becoming more religious? Maybe if you look at the stats, maybe we'll have some insights on that. But what I could say, what we observed is within Islam is that Islam is growing at a pace where was never growing before. Like the now we got more converts than ever before. In fact, Islam is becoming the fastest growing religion. Now, what could be the cause of that? Maybe it could be the fact that, like you said, the reaction to the madness that's going on. It could be that, it could be one of the reasons. But also what I think, in my opinion, is the reason is, finding purpose, finding that happiness. Because we earlier we linked purpose with happiness. And I feel like people lacking happiness due to the fact that they're lacking purpose, they're searching for it. And when they try to search for it, they found Islam to be the religion that provides clarity.
And I think I disagree. You know why I disagree with this?
Go ahead.
Because I think that what's happening here is people believe that Christianity is the base religion for these countries. And
Yes.
if this is what is happening, it's almost as if they're saying, look at what's happening under your watch as Christians. And so people are like, well, then maybe Islam is where to go to, because it's like, oh, maybe if this was Islam country, it would never
They will never, yeah,
it would never have happened,
They never
you know.
happened.
So I think
Yes.
that might be what's driving. It might be driving
Could be.
some people in the middle. I definitely know that for Christianity, people who were maybe, for example, they just grew up in church and stuff. If they feel like the world is just getting a bit worse, then they will go and become more religious as Christians again too.
Yes.
And I don't know, but I definitely do agree that religion seems to be
on the rise.
on the rise again, just because people think, maybe things have gone too far. Stuff coming out like about Nickelodeon, all of them were
Yeah.
assaulted as children and stuff.
Yes.
People like PDD getting caught about running sex trafficking rings. All these kinds of stuff will make people who are maybe neutral just be like,
Neutral.
maybe this is not the way.
No, definitely.
All right, so just to end on a high note, right? So we all end this thing
That's a high note.
on a high note, or just end on a less serious note, right? I want to ask both of you a question. So, hello, you're
Okay.
Muslim, and you're Christian.
Okay.
What is one thing that is on the other side of each religion that you wish or you wish was on your side? So let's say, what is one thing that maybe the Muslims have that you wish Christians did more? Or
I think
vice
Halil should
versa?
go first so I can tailor my answer.
I'm still thinking about it. That's a good question.
I don't know if he knows any. Do you know stuff about Christianity?
That's a good question. Do I know stuff about Christianity?
Because you might have to know a little bit to be able to ask me a question or to answer such a question or
Yeah,
something.
I would say, I know, in my humble opinion, I know a bit about Christianity. I'm trying to think of the question you just asked. What could I copy from it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will let you go first.
No, bro. this
I'm still
guy don't do a face off.
I'm
Here's what. The only thing that I would say Islam has in terms of its advantage to people really, really believing it under one banner is the fact that their scripture has been unchanged. Sometimes I wonder if,
I like
for
that you mentioned
example,
that, bro.
that
Amen to that, my boy.
yeah, I say, imagine if in Christianity, because in Christianity we have multiple denominations. So Catholics, they all believe in Christ, right? But the way in which certain people interpret the scripture is different from the way other people interpret all this stuff, and it's been translated into multiple languages. It's great that that's helped Christianity to reach many countries, but at the same time, things can be lost in translation. So people will then feel it's easy for people to feel like, well, what else is lost in translation? This, that. If everyone just had only if one Bible with one language, then maybe I guess we all had to learn to understand it. I guess that is something that I would say might have been better
Yeah.
in Christianity. All right.
No, I agree. For me, I would say the expansion of Christianity, how massive or how it has touched a lot of households more than Islam, even though that trend is, switching up a little bit.
I don't know about that, bro.
No, meaning because, you could check even the
Yeah,
fastest
yeah.
growing religion today is Islam.
Okay, true.
But the fact that Christianity has reached so many people, I think this is one of the things we could copy from the expansion side of Christianity. But besides that, yes, I just think Islam as a religion maybe I'm biased, right? But I would say Islam as a religion we see it as perfection. This is perfect to us, and the only thing that's imperfect is people following it. Let's say the Muslims, right? Because not all of us have the same level of belief. Not all of us have the same level of faith, same level of the way we conduct ourselves. And this is one thing that's unfortunate about some of the Muslims.
Okay, but here's what. Okay, I have a question. This is a loaded question,
We're
though.
supposed to end on a light
We're
note,
supposed to
guys.
end on a light note.
By the way,
but when he said, I'm gonna be honest, when he
Yeah.
said Islam is perfection, it triggered
Yes.
a very deep question
yes,
in my mind.
go ahead.
And I thought about this because he said what is different is in the way people address or follow the religion, right?
Yes,
But here's what about people say I've heard once, and so because I don't know anything about Islam, you be the one, for example, to let me know. I've heard once that the true followers of Islam are the extremists, and not because I think I remember when I was growing up, one thing I once often heard was that the northern Muslims or like Muslims that were part of extremist group in like Boko Haram, stuff like that, that they were the ones truly following things by the book
yeah.
and not the southern Muslims like that were having mosques on the same street as Christians and stuff like that. What is your take on that?
So I would say, just to give you a clean answer on that,
Yeah.
the Quran says if you kill one person, is as if one innocent person is as if you killed the entire humanity. So now you tell me, are they following the book, or are they not following the book?
I see.
Because if one person,
Yeah.
if you kill one innocent
Yeah,
person, it's like killing the whole humanity.
Yeah.
And you telling me that you are following the true Islam.
Then that's not possible.
That's not possible.
not possible.
That's not possible.
Okay, good.
The majority
Yeah.
follows the book,
I see.
right?
I see.
They follow the book.
It's good that you bring up this quote because that helps me understand something.
And if anybody deviate from whatever was said in the book, you're not following the book. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that.
But
Because Islam is really clear. It's really clear.
okay.
A lead to B, do A, do B. That's it.
Okay, so what about there's one more thing is we're supposed to end on a light note, but this I don't think it's a loaded
By the
question or
way,
anything.
yeah, this podcast was really intense.
It was, yeah.
There were some people in the background that left. You know what I mean? I'm telling you.
Hey, if you made it this far, man. Hey.
yeah, true story. But anyways, you know what? Never mind that. It's almost 1 hour, and I really appreciate anyone that watched till this point.
Honestly.
I really appreciate you.
Real.
And yet, no, none of us are scholars. None of us would claim to be scholars, theological scholars, but we just are giving you the opinion of the average person in their religion. So it's just not the most, what do you call it, dogmatic follower on the planet, but we are giving you a perspective of what the average person thinks of what's going on right now today. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate that. You guys had anything?
Yes, and also, let us know in the comments. Like I said, I can speak for myself. I'm just an idiot trying to navigate through life. And if you make any mistake, just know we're not scholars. We're not, experts on any field. But let us know in the comments if you found we were disrespectful or anything else. Just let us know in the comments.
All right, hey, if you made it this far, thank you for watching the best podcast on the planet. I'm just gonna call it right now. I want to thank my boy Halil for coming through. My guy, appreciate you always, man. And if you made it this far, hey, comment Halil MVP. Put it in the comments right there. MVP. Anyways, we'll see you in the next one. Stay locked in. Always. Cheers. Man, that was sick, bro.
That was intense, bro.
Bro, me too. At some point, I was boiling. I can't even lie, bro.
He just started to run away.